that Garrett Cole is not going to return to like absolute dominance this year, which is I don't mean I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but let's put a number on it. Let's say I don't think he'll finish top 5 in Cy Young, which is for him a bad year. I think he's just going to be good, not great, the rest of the year.
Gut feeling, or
I mean, he's had blow up. He's had a bad start. He had to the season, and then he kind of got back to being dominant, really good. And then against the Twins, he went 2 innings, gave up 7 runs, 5 home runs, a career high. He's setting a lot of career highs this year. He's got career highs of walks in an inning, like walks in a game, home runs in a game, runs given up in a game, shortest innings gone in a game. I don't know. I think he'll be good. I don't think that he's going to give up 7 runs every time, but I think that it's not crazy to think that, he's just not going to be this top 2, top 3 pitcher in the world this year.
I disagree, but I can't say that I'm not concerned about that 7 run. I know it's one game, but like
I'm not saying like I'm scared that he's going to suck ass. I just don't like. I think not top 5 in Cy Young is not just like outlandish.
No, I know it's not outlandish. I personally think he will, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think that I'm not worried. I think the one thing I want to lean into is that 7 run outing that we touched on. I don't like it. And I don't like it for the reasons that are obvious, but I also think that it can bleed into a game like a playoff. I'm seeing that in terms of a playoff lens, and I'm looking at that as like if you can give up 7 runs. Who did he play and give up 7 runs? Twins have a pretty good offense. I think they're a little bit fool's gold in terms of leading your division in a shitty division like that. It's not really that good of a team, but I think I don't like it. And I think that that's a bad sign for a playoff series.
I think
because if you can do that on one given day, then you can do it on another given day. It's like 7 runs is not just like he had a bad start. Like that's blowing up and continuing to like snowball in one game, and that's not good. So I don't like it, but I don't know. I'm concerned.
That didn't
for individual game.
But what do you think?
I do think that he will be top 5, but I think I don't like that he showed this vulnerability, if that makes sense. I don't think he's going to do that every day. No, not at all.
Neither do I. But
I think that he'll finish in the top 5. But I think that on a per game basis, the fact that he showed this crack is not good to me.
I'll say this. We've been talking about it quite a bit about Garrett Cole's slow start and coming back, and like what do we need to see from him to make us feel confident again. And we all keep talking about that fuck you start against the Rays. And that fuck you start against the Rays is tomorrow. That's what it is. That's what it was supposed to be. We're playing the Rays tomorrow. Right. Garrett Cole starting. This is like the game we were kind of been leading up to in terms of like when Garrett Cole is going to be back. And I if he doesn't have a good game tomorrow, then I am going to buy that take, Chandler.
Okay.
That he's not going to be top 5, because that's where I start to get really worried about what's going on with him.
We're a third of the way through the season. He's got an ERA in the upper 3s, which you have that rule. Once you get a third in, you can kind of start to look at cumulative stats. And I know ERA is not everything, and it doesn't factor in all the stats in the entire world. It's not the best indicator, but your $324 million lockdown ace that's supposed to be top, 2-3 in the world at his job shouldn't have a high 3s ERA. That just shouldn't happen. You shouldn't. I don't know. That's what I'm saying as far as concern goes. I still think, like I said, I can't harp on it enough that I think he's still going to be good, and I think that he's still going to go through dominant stretches. But I think that there's kind of cracks in his armor this year. Maybe I imagine he'll figure them out going forward. I still think that Spider Tech narrative is stupid and honestly pretty dead after last year and what he did after it. Did it help him? Absolutely. But I still think he can be a great dominant pitcher without it. And I think that he will get back on track as far as this isn't a career-defining thing for him. I think next year that's very likely that it'll come out. He's still throwing 100 miles an hour. He's averaging, top 3, 4, 5 in the entire Major League Baseball, and velocity. He's still got the movement on his pitches, everything like that. There's just something. Even when he went through his dominant stretch this year of 4 or 5 games, there's just something a little off. Everything just seems a tick off, and I don't know what it is, and I can't point it out. Obviously, that's why I'm sitting here talking about it on the fucking couch and not in Tampa right now. But everything this year just seems a little bit off.
I mean, when you look back to his last 8 starts before that one, with the exception of one, every single one was a quality start, and there have been great quality starts, not only quality starts. Like, I mean, I'm looking back at his game log, 6.2, no runs. I mean, 6.2, no runs, 6 innings, no runs, 6.1, 1 run, 6.1, 3 runs, it's still a quality start, 7 innings, 2 runs, 8 innings, 5 runs, that's the one exception I was talking about, 6 innings, 1 run, and then 7 innings, no runs, that was the one that was nearly a perfect game, and then he had the 2.1 and 7 earned. Like, I don't think we're having the conversation if he's back or not. He's been back. I think that's a ridiculous stretch of games. And that's why his ERA is mid 3s. It's 3.63 right now because he just gave up 7. Like, it's going to be inflated right now, but like, Gerrit Cole's back. I don't know why you guys are even talking about the fact that he's not. It's 8 games in a row of just that's dominance aside from one.
I know it's dominance. I never say he's not dominant. I never say he's not back. All I said was that I think that
Damon did.
I said I think that these blow-ups are becoming not frequent, but they're happening more than they should, enough to a point to where it'll drive him a Cy Young, especially, and you saw it last year, and I'll just use last year as an example. It's more of a what have you done for me lately, and if he has a blow-up start like that, if he has those here and there throughout the season, it'll keep some of those baseline numbers inflated. And then if he has one in September or something, that might be the final straw. That's all I'm saying. I'm not, again, I've repeated this multiple times. I do not think that this is any indication of how he is as a pitcher as a whole. And I still think he'll have a good season, but I don't think he's going to have a historic dominant season that we were all expecting and hoping for coming into it. That he was going to run away with the Cy Young and all that. I think he's going to be good, not great.
No, I was more so talking to Damon, who just said that he was looking for that fuck you star, which I think he's already had it for 7 out of the last 8. One thing before I let you go, Murph, is that I do agree after this blow up start consecutively, he's going to be facing the Rays, Toronto, and then Houston. That is going. That's going to be. We're going to see. We're going to see if he's going to let this snowball into multiple bad starts, because now he is who he is. He's a great fucking pitcher. He's really good. He's going against 3 of the best offenses in baseball. So go figure it out. And it's tough coming off a bad one like that. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for him to be the bounce back yet. He did it already. He's showed that Gerrit Cole's here this season. It's can he recover from this against 3 of the best offenses?
And we know he can recover from it because he's Gerrit Cole. I mean, he's been one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball for the last 5 years, and there's no debate about it. Was it a blow-up start? Yes. I think we're overreacting a little bit to one bad start. If you don't have it that day, you don't have it that day.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But interestingly enough, I was thinking that he might not be a top 5 Cy Young guy, but that doesn't mean he's not good. That's how I was going to approach this. And, I looked up just AL Cy Young. I was looking for the odds on it just to see who else is up there and who could bump him out of the top 5. ESPN does this Cy Young predictor, which do with that what you will. I don't really think ESPN's the best.
This is the one that had like Clay Holmes as the favorite.
Clay Holmes is second, yeah. So like out of the top 10, the Yankees have 5 of the top 10 in the AL, which don't want to look too deeply into it, but like he could have not the best rest of the season, and not the best meaning like still better than most, and still could be in the top 5. Cy Young, because you're looking at the other Cy Young candidates that are not Yankees. Right. I'm thinking McClanahan, Verlander, the Valdez kid from Houston, and Manoah. Those are like the only really contenders that aren't.
You don't think Nestor?
Obviously, Nestor's up there. That aren't in the Yankees. Obviously, Nestor's up there. I don't think Clay Holmes is realistically going to get a top 5 Cy Young just because he's a reliever. Not that he doesn't deserve it. Gausman, yes, certainly up there.
Bieber. He's won one already. He's out. Yeah, sub 3 RA. He's striking people out. There's just, I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that it would not Like I don't know. He's showing cracks in his armor, and he kind of has. I'll say this: I don't buy the sticky tack shit as that or spider tack, whatever the fuck. That was a contribute. Like I don't think that this is just the end of his career, is that he can't use it anymore, and that like people are acting. I will say he's more susceptible to the blow up starts, and I actually am slightly concerned about. For the first time in my life, I've been concerned about Cole between the ears, and I saw that not last game. I saw it in the Rays game because he didn't get a call that would have ended the inning, and he let that snowball into the game-tying run. He walked a guy on a 3-2 pitch that was a borderline strike, threw a little bit of a hissy fit, walked the next guy on 4 pitches, then gave up a single. Like he was clearly rattled, and stuff like that, little things like that. Yeah, it was a great game. And you look at the stat sheet, and obviously that doesn't show up in the stat sheet. He went 7 innings, gave up a run, and like 3 or 4 hits. Amazing start. Definitely pads the stats. Stuff like that scares me. I've never worried about Garrett Cole between the ears. Stuff like that is just not like him, and it's weird. And that's kind of what I was alluding to when I say there's something that's a tick off, and it's not like last year. He walks a guy on a pitch like that, he comes back with a fuck you 101 mile an hour pitch dotting the black. He wasn't even close on the batter after that. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just don't have that same warm fuzzy whenever some little thing goes awry.
You could, yeah. That's.
There's
your-
anybody
that's
that
your
can come
opinion,
back
yeah.
from that though.
I'm not saying he
Yeah.
can't come back from it. I think you're just
No, I
missing
agree.
the
That's your
point
feeling.
there.
You-
Is that
you
there's
can feel
some.
No,
how
I'm
you
not.
feel, yeah. You
And
feel
I
that
think
way,
that
yeah.
there's a legitimate chance that he's not going to be a top 5 in the Cy Young, and I'm completely okay with that, so long as
So am
he
I.
keeps it as it how it is. I mean, I don't think he doesn't have to drop off the face of the planet to not be a top 5 in the Cy Young voting. So like, I don't think it's ridiculous to say that he's not going to be in the top 5, even if he doesn't have that fuck you start against the Rays, because he could go out and shove against the Rays, have a little bit of hiccup against the Blue Jays, and then turn around and shove again against the Astros, and then what are we talking about? Because he's back to where he was. So I agree, Damon, that the fuck you start needs to happen, and I think no matter what happens in that Rays game tomorrow, if we reassess this on Tuesday night or Wednesday, it's going to be one way or the other. Like, we're either going to be like, oh yeah, Chandler, you're absolutely right, or oh, that was ridiculous because he had his fuck you start.
Yeah.
It's going to be one.
I have 3 things on this. I have one.
I have 20 things on this real quick.
I have 3 things, but they are quick. One, they're just more so closing comments. One, I think we have had Garrett Cole for a couple years now, but I do think even when you look at his historic year, that last year when he had 300 plus strikeouts with the Astros, you look at that and like you see the final tally and the final stats, and I don't know off the top of my head, but I absolutely guarantee there were starts like this built into that season. So when you look at a player like that, we're looking at him under a microscope and every little thing, like you said, Chandler, that one spot where he, didn't get a call and then that blow up thing happened. We don't see that when we're looking at it from a third party or an outside Astros fan perspective that season. I'm sure if you asked an Astros fan, they probably had situations like that and it may have happened. That's one thing I think that that's one reason why I'm not gonna like overreact to one start, because I guarantee every pitcher, no matter who it was, no one's perfect every single day. And I'm not asking him to be, and I'm not saying he ever has been. I'm just saying that's one reason why I'm not going to overreact to that. 2, I think a guy like Garrett Cole with the pedigree that he has, there's a reason why he gives up 7 in that spot and not just 4, is because you're Garrett Cole, so you're going to be left in longer. So I think that's why he's going to have a little less of a leash, because another guy, a random guy, I don't even want to bring up a name, but like Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt goes in there. Clark Schmidt's doing great, but if Clark Schmidt gives up 4, he's getting pulled. Am I right or wrong? Garrett Cole,
but those
Garrett
guys
Cole's
just,
going to stay in there and be able to work a little longer. That's why yes, you didn't have it.
I mean,
you
is
probably
7
should.
runs still working through something, or is that just like what
No,
is that?
I'm not saying he had it that day. He didn't have it. I'm saying the reason why it's 7 is because he was left in longer than another person. So everyone else would have been.
So he had a
handled
chance to be
earlier.
terrible for longer.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm once again telling you that he did not have it. He looked awful that day. I'm just saying the reason why it blows up to 7 is because he's left in longer because he's Garrett Cole.
Yeah, but those are the games I'm like that are worrisome. Like
Yeah, we've
7,
all said our piece. I'm just
yeah, I know.
saying.
I'm just that's the only reason I'm saying that. It's like 5 runs against the Orioles that one day too. Like that's a game you should throw. Like you should have 3 hits the whole game. Like that. Those are the kinds of games where you should just
The Tigers.
dominate them. The Tigers, like Twins are good, but I don't know. I'm just saying, like, again, to Murph's point, like if he doesn't finish top 5, like who gives a shit? Like he still is having a great year, but I think that like dominant ace, Cy Young winner, like front runner, I need to see more to like be more confident in that take.
I think
Yep.
he's still there.
I think that right there was the perfect way to wrap it up. There's no, like, that's all I was getting at is that I'm not confident that he's going to run away with the Cy Young like people think he's going to. And, like, again, if he finishes 6th in Cy Young, that's not the end of the world. Look at the competition. The pitching across the AL is fantastic this year. And as we all know, through the first couple months, offense was down as a whole anyway, and pitching is up, and stats were inflated. And that is what it is. It's fine. And I don't care if he finishes 6th. I don't care if he finishes 10th.
I do.
Like Reese Bobby, Hell, Ricky, you can finish 2nd. You can even finish 3rd.
Ricky, I was high on peyote when I said that.
I'd be pissed if he finished 10th. Because we
just-
paid him all.
I don't
We
care.
paid him loads
So
of money.
the-
Because that
Because
it's not about the Cy Young to me. That's what I'm saying. It's about the stats weren't
What you did
You're
to
gonna-
get
were
there.
you
but
gonna
what
say
if, what
Manning?
if 4 guys above him are on the Yankees? That's the only reason I brought up
Oh, I don't
this.
care.
thing
I'm just saying
earlier.
we paid him this much to be that guy. If your stats aren't good enough to be top 10, then it's not about the award at all.
Yeah, but if you
I'm-
win, who gives a fuck? If we win a World
Game
Series,
first,
if
you're
we, if
last.
we win a World
Oh, yeah.
Series and he finishes 25th in Cy Young, like you're not gonna be like, oh, that Garrett Cole contract is terrible.
I'm not
Especially when he shows up in the postseason.
I'm not worried
Yeah.
about the contract. I'm not worried about him going forward or saying this is a bad contract. All I'm saying is that at this specific year, I just don't know. I don't know if I'm confident that he's gonna rebound and I know he'll rebound and be good. I'm saying I don't know that he'll just be able to lock it down for the entire season. I think this year in particular, maybe he's working through new things. Maybe it's the adding the cutter to the arsenal and he's still figuring out how to pitch with that extra pitch. Whatever it is that's maybe like a tick off, he'll finish like 6th or 7th, and that's fine. That's fine. That's totally fine. I don't care.